In the cold void of space, an imposing alien fleet known as the Xerix Armada descended upon Earth, their colossal ships glimmering ominously against the backdrop of stars. Commander Vrax stood on the bridge of the flagship dreadnought of Supremacy, his eyes narrowed with disdain. As he surveyed the blue planet below, to him the human vessels appeared as mere toys drifting in the vastness of the universe. He had heard whispers of humanity's achievements, but those tales seemed exaggerated to him. As the dreadnought hovered in low orbit, Vrax activated the ship-wide comm system, his voice booming with arrogance throughout the fleet. Earthlings, he began, your time of reckoning has come. Prepare to witness the might of the Xerix. We will challenge you to a series of contests to demonstrate our superiority in technology and warfare. At that moment, a ripple of laughter swept through the ranks of the alien commanders, their confidence palpable and contagious. On Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Global leaders gathered in emergency meetings as panic and confusion set in. Yet amidst the chaos, Captain Elena Hayes, a seasoned officer in the Earth Space Command, remained resolute. She was well aware of the capabilities of the human fleet and the importance of unity in the face of this unprecedented threat. The U.S. Valor, an aging but resilient ship, became her home. Her crew, a family bound by loyalty and determination. Elena stared at the monitor displaying the alien fleet, their size and power intimidating. But she refused to let fear take hold. She turned to her diverse crew, each member from different backgrounds, united under a common goal. We may not have their technology, she said with conviction, but we have something they don't. We have heart, we have resilience, and we know this planet better than they ever will. The crew exchanged determined glances. Feeling the weight of her words, Elena laid out her strategy. As they prepared to accept the alien challenge, the first trial would involve a test of speed and agility. The crew understood that their outdated systems would put them at a disadvantage, but they were determined to turn that weakness into strength. As the U.S. Valor readied for battle, the aliens initiated their broadcast, challenging Earth to a live demonstration, their voices echoing through every screen across the globe. Commander Vrax smirked as he watched humans scramble to respond, believing their confidence would quickly falter under the might of the Xerix. Yet as the trial approached, Elena rallied her crew. They began to brainstorm how they could leverage the ship's unique design and their intimate knowledge of the surrounding space. What they lacked in firepower, they would make up for it in cunning. Every member brought their skills to the forefront. Engineers, strategists, and pilots united in their mission to prove the Xerix wrong. In the final moments before the trial began, Elena felt a surge of adrenaline. The stakes were high and failure was not an option. They would not only be fighting for their lives, but for the very pride of humanity. She felt a fierce determination in her heart as she glanced at the faces of her crew. They were ready. They would show the Xerix that humanity was far more than mere mundanity. As the countdown began, she took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. The ship shook slightly as engines powered up, and the crew steadied themselves in anticipation. The vastness of space lay before them, and in that moment they were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting to redefine what it meant to be human in a universe that underestimated them. As the countdown reached zero, the U.S. Valor surged forward, propelled by its thrusters. The ship shot out from the Earth's atmosphere like a bolt of lightning. The crew braced themselves as the familiar hum of the engines filled the cabin. Adrenaline coursed through their veins. The vastness of space opened up before them, an uncharted arena where they would face their greatest challenge. Commander Vrax watched from the dreadnought of Supremacy, a satisfied grin plastered on his face as the Valor sped into the void. He believed this first trial would be an easy victory. The alien ships began to maneuver into formation, their sleek designs gliding effortlessly through space, a show of power and precision that left no room for doubt in their capabilities. Vrax activated the comm system, addressing both his crew and the humans at once. Earthlings, your moment of truth has arrived. Prepare to be humiliated. Our ships will demonstrate the true meaning of speed and agility. You will soon learn the folly of underestimating the Xerix, he concluded with a mocking laugh. Elena focused on the controls of the Valor, her fingers dancing over the panels as she input the ship's navigational data. Her heart raced, not just from the thrill of the moment, but from the weight of responsibility, she felt for her crew they were counting on her to lead them through this trial alive and victorious. The first challenge was a race through an asteroid field, a treacherous course that would test not only speed, but also precision. The Xerix ships were equipped with cutting-edge technology, allowing them to zip through the rocky debris with ease. But Alina knew that the Valor's experience in navigating Earth's own asteroid belts could give them an edge if they played their cards right. As the trial commenced, the alien ships surged ahead, effortlessly weaving through the obstacles, while the Valor lagged behind. Each passing moment felt like an eternity as Alina gripped the controls with determination. She barked commands to her crew to maintain a steady course as they approached the field of asteroids. She noticed the Xerix began to taunt them through the comms, their voices dripping with condescension. "See how the humans falter in the face of true power," Vrax mocked. But Alina refused to waver. She knew they had a trick up their sleeves, and it was time to unveil it. With a swift command, she ordered her crew to prepare for a calculated maneuver, diverting power from non-essential systems to the thrusters, increasing speed just enough to close the gap with the Xerix ships. They were banking on the element of surprise, hoping the Xerix would underestimate their capabilities. As they entered the asteroid field, Alina shouted orders, her voice ringing clear amidst the chaos. She instructed the crew to execute sharp turns and sudden drops, forcing the ship to navigate the tight spaces with an agility that belied its age. The Valor danced among the asteroids, weaving through the chaos with unexpected grace. The Xerix ships faltered for a moment as they tried to anticipate the Valor's path, their smug expressions replaced by surprise. As the humans adapted to the environment, Alina seized the opportunity, pushing the ship harder than ever. The crew felt the adrenaline surge as they pulled ahead in a stunning display of human ingenuity and tenacity. Vrax's laughter faded, replaced by a deepening frown, as he watched the Valor gain ground against all odds. Suddenly, the trial was no longer a mere spectacle. It had become a fight for respect and survival as the humans fought back, proving that even the most mundane vessel could hold its own in the unforgiving arena of space. With the asteroid field behind them, the U.S. Valor emerged victorious from the chaos. The crew erupted in cheers, their spirits soaring as they celebrated their unexpected triumph over the Xerix. In that moment, they felt invincible. The laughter of the alien commanders had been silenced, replaced by a tense realization that humanity was not as weak as they had assumed. Alina allowed herself a brief smile, but she quickly shifted her focus to the next challenge looming on the horizon. The Xerix would not take this defeat lightly, and she knew they would retaliate with even greater force. Vrax's anger would be palpable. She could almost feel the tension radiating from the dreadnought as the alien fleet recalibrated for the next contest. The second trial was a demonstration of firepower, a live combat exercise designed to showcase the advanced weaponry of the Xerix ships. Alina felt a knot tighten in her stomach. They had to find a way to leverage their limited arsenal against superior technology. This time they would not just be fighting to win, but to survive. As the alien ships formed up for the next challenge, Alina gathered her crew in the command center, their faces serious as they prepared for what lay ahead. She began by addressing their fears. "We may not have the latest weapons, but we have something they don't: creativity and the will to adapt. We have faced adversity before, and we will do it again." The crew nodded in agreement, their resolve hardening as they brainstormed strategies to outsmart their opponents. They pored over data from the previous trial, analyzing the Xerix weaponry and weaknesses that could be exploited. The Valor may have been old, but its crew was anything but. Alina proposed a plan that centered around a distraction, a decoy strategy that would draw the Xerix fire away from the Valor. While they launched a surprise attack from a hidden angle, her heart raced as she explained the details to her crew. They would utilize their ship's old defense systems in an unconventional way, creating an illusion of vulnerability. As the countdown for the next trial began, Alina felt the familiar adrenaline coursing through her veins. She gripped the controls and prepared the ship for the upcoming confrontation. The Xerix fleet would soon unleash their firepower, and they needed to be ready. When the signal was given, the Xerix opened fire with a dazzling display of weaponry, their beams of energy lighting up the darkness of space. Elena shouted orders as the crew executed the distraction maneuver, releasing decoy drones that flared to life, mimicking the ship's energy signatures. The Xerix ships were quick to respond, their focus shifting to the decoys, which began to dart and weave through space. The alien commanders cursed as their shots missed the targets, while the Valor took advantage of the confusion, moving stealthily into a hidden position. Elena saw the opening. She had been waiting for the crew prepared the ship's weapon systems, a series of antiquated yet reliable armaments that had been upgraded in ways only they could have imagined with precision. She commanded fire, unleashing a barrage of blasts aimed directly at the heart of the nearest Xerix ship. The attack landed with a resounding impact as the alien vessel staggered under the unexpected assault. The crew of the Valor cheered once more. Their tactics had worked against the odds, but Vrax was not finished yet. He roared commands, rallying his fleet to counter the humans. Elena knew this was just the beginning. The Xerix would come at them with renewed fury, but they had ignited a spark within themselves, a fire that would not be extinguished easily. As the battle raged on, they fought not only for survival, but to prove that humanity would not back down against any foe that dared to belittle them in the vastness of space. With the echoes of their success still resonating in the command center, the crew of the U.S. Valor gathered their focus for the next trial, adrenaline mixed with determination, as they prepared for what would be an even greater challenge this time. The Xerix had declared a test of strategy, a simulated battle that would push their tactical skills to the limit. Commander Vrax stood on the bridge of the dreadnought of supremacy, his anger simmering beneath the surface. After the unexpected setbacks, his pride was on the line. He activated the ship-wide comm system, his voice cold and menacing. Humans, you have proven to be more resourceful than I anticipated, but this next trial will reveal your true weakness. Strategy is where the Xerix excel. You will fall before our might. Elena's heart raced as she listened to Vrax's taunts. She knew that the stakes had risen significantly. This was not just about speed or firepower, but about outsmarting a seasoned enemy who had fought countless battles. She gathered her crew once more, laying out the Xerix's proposed plan and the parameters of the upcoming trial. This trial would involve a simulated battle across a vast grid of space littered with obstacles and resources. Both fleets would deploy their ships and engage in a tactical showdown, where every move would be scrutinized, and the victor would gain crucial advantages in the next stages of the contest. As they prepared for the simulation, Elena stressed the importance of communication and teamwork. We must anticipate their moves and react swiftly, she said, her eyes scanning the determined faces of her crew. The Xerix may have superior technology, but we have something they lack: the ability to think outside the box. We can use our environment and our instincts to gain the upper hand. The crew set to work devising strategies they drew from their previous experiences and battles, learning to predict how the Xerix would respond. They agreed on a plan that involved feints and diversions designed to confuse and overwhelm the enemy, while leveraging the ship's agility to strike from unexpected angles. When the simulation began, the Valor entered the battlefield, a stunning array of stars and obstacles stretching before them. The Xerix fleet formed up into a formidable line. But Elena remained undeterred. She called for the crew to engage the enemy, deploying their ships strategically across the grid. As the battle unfolded, the Xerix moved with precision, their ships coordinating effortlessly. But Elena watched closely for any signs of overconfidence. The Valor danced through the battlefield, a blur of movement, as the crew executed their tactics with increasing confidence. Then it happened. A crucial opening appeared when one of the Xerix ships moved too far forward, leaving a gap in their formation. Elena seized the moment, issuing commands to her crew to pivot and launch a surprise strike that sent shockwaves through the enemy ranks. The Xerix commanders were momentarily thrown off balance as the Valor engaged in hit-and-run tactics, exploiting the gap they had created. Elena's heart raced with each successful maneuver, the crew's synergy shining through as they danced among the stars, weaving their ship in and out of danger. Yet Vrax was quick to adapt. His eyes narrowed as he observed the humans adjusting their strategy on the fly. The Xerix regrouped rapidly, countering their feints and pushing back against the Valor with calculated force. But Elena had one last trick up her sleeve. She initiated a risky maneuver guiding the Valor toward a cluster of asteroids using them as cover, while the Xerics focused their fire on a decoy that had been deployed in a different quadrant. The crew held their breath as they executed the plan. As the Valor broke free from the asteroids, Elena ordered the crew to unleash their remaining firepower in a concentrated burst aimed directly at Vrax's flagship. The shots hit true, and the simulated damage rippled through the Xerix formation, eliciting gasps from the alien commanders. In that moment, Vrax's arrogance shattered. He realized the humans were not to be underestimated, and as the simulation concluded with the Valor standing tall against the Xerix fleet, the crew erupted into cheers, their spirits soaring as they proved once again that creativity and unity could triumph over brute force in the unforgiving expanse of space. As the cheers from the Valor's crew echoed in the command center, a sudden tension filled the air. The victory against the Xerics in the strategic trial had bolstered their morale, but Elena could sense a shift in the atmosphere. Vrax would not let their losses go unanswered. The fury in his eyes had been unmistakable as he retreated to his flagship. Days passed, and the crew remained vigilant, training and strategizing, while news of their triumph spread across Earth, bolstering humanity's spirit. But the Xerics were not known for their mercy, and the crew knew they would soon face the consequences of their defiance. Then it happened. A message crackled through the comm system. Elena's stomach dropped as she recognized Vrax's voice. It dripped with contempt. "Humans, you have shown surprising cunning, but know this: your victory was a mere fluke. I will not allow your insolence to stand. I challenge you to a final contest, a test of brute strength in the arena of direct combat." Elena's heart raced as the reality of the situation settled in. She gathered her crew, preparing for the worst. Vrax was out for blood, and this time the stakes were life and death. They would be fighting not just for victory, but for their survival. The final trial would take place in a designated combat zone, a vast expanse of space, where both fleets would engage in a direct confrontation. The Xerics would unleash their full arsenal, while the Valor would have to navigate the chaos with their limited resources. Elena held a meeting with her crew, laying out their plan. They had faced obstacles before, and had overcome them through creativity and teamwork. But this time the odds felt heavier. "We will need to use everything we have," she began, her voice steady. "We cannot face them head on, but we can outmaneuver them and exploit their overconfidence." As they prepared for the battle, the tension in the air thickened. The Xerix fleet assembled around them, an ominous sight with ships poised for destruction. Vrax's voice echoed through the comm system. A countdown began, and Elena felt her heart pound as the seconds ticked away. When the signal was given, chaos erupted as both fleets opened fire. Beams of energy lit up the dark expanse of space. The crew of the Valor sprang into action, each member knowing their role as they maneuvered the ship with precision, trying to dodge incoming fire. Elena commanded her crew to initiate evasive maneuvers, using the asteroids and debris in the area to shield themselves from the onslaught. But the Xerics were relentless. Their ships coordinated in a deadly dance of destruction, targeting the Valor with renewed vigor. The crew fought with all their might, but Elena felt the pressure mounting as the Xerics continued to press their advantage. Every maneuver they made was countered by the alien fleet. She could see the frustration building within her crew, but she refused to let despair take hold. In a moment of clarity, she called for a retreat, using the ship's speed to pull back into the debris field. The Xerix commanders were overconfident, believing they had the upper hand, and Elena knew this was their chance. As the Valor dove deeper into the debris, she instructed the crew to prepare a counteroffensive. They would draw the Xerics in and use their own arrogance against them. Once again, the element of surprise would be their greatest ally. When the Xerics advanced into the debris field, Elena saw the opening. She had been waiting for. Her heart raced as she commanded the crew to strike. The moment was now. With the enemy vulnerable, they unleashed a barrage of fire from their hidden positions. The Xeric ships were caught off guard, their formation breaking as the Valor's weapons found their marks. Explosions erupted around them. The crew of the Valor erupted into cheers. Their strategy had worked. The tide was shifting, but Vrax's fury was far from quelled. Elena knew this was only the beginning. As the battle raged on, they fought with every ounce of strength. They had proven that humanity would not be easily broken, and that they were ready to fight to the last breath against those who sought to belittle them in the vastness of space. The atmosphere in the U.S. Valor's command center crackled with intensity as the crew rallied around their unexpected success in the debris field. Elena felt a surge of hope, but she knew better than to underestimate Vrax and the Xerics. The battle had ignited a fire within her crew, but it also fueled the alien commander's wrath. The Xerics fleet regrouped quickly, their ships moving with newfound determination as Vrax bellowed commands through the comm system, anger simmering just beneath the surface. "Humans, you have made a grave mistake. This battle will be your end. Prepare for total annihilation." Elena's heart pounded in her chest, but she steadied her resolve, gathering her crew. Once more they had tasted victory, but it had come at a cost. They needed a plan to withstand the Xerics' inevitable counterattack. She knew they couldn't rely on brute force alone. As the Xerics regrouped, Elena turned to her crew. The stakes were higher than ever. "We need to adapt and prepare for the worst," she said, her voice steady. "We've seen how they operate. They will come at us with everything they have. We must find a way to outsmart them once again." After brainstorming tactics, the crew devised a plan to utilize the ship's remaining resources and their knowledge of the battlefield. They would set traps, using the debris as cover, creating an intricate web designed to ensnare the Xeric ships as they advanced. The Valor maneuvered into position as the Xeric ships charged toward them. The crew worked in harmony, executing their roles flawlessly. Elena could feel the energy pulsing through the ship as they prepared for the decisive confrontation. When the Xerics finally engaged the Valor, the battlefield erupted into chaos. Beams of energy streaked through space as the two fleets clashed in a cacophony of sound and fury. The crew fought with unyielding determination, weaving through the destruction that surrounded them. As the Xerics pressed forward, Elena's strategy came to life. The traps they had set activated, catching the enemy off guard. As the debris field erupted into a chaotic storm of explosions, the crew's morale surged as they fought back against the relentless Xerics' assault. Yet Vrax was not easily discouraged. As he watched his fleet suffer losses, he rallied his commanders with a fierce resolve. "We will crush them once and for all," he roared. The Xeric ships pressed deeper into the fray, determined to overwhelm the Valor through sheer force. Elena knew they were entering a critical moment. She called for a retreat into the heart of the debris field. Knowing that the Xerics would pursue relentlessly, the crew executed the maneuver with precision, navigating through the obstacles as the enemy followed closely behind. In the midst of the chaos, Elena spotted a massive asteroid looming nearby. It was risky, but it was their best chance. She ordered the crew to prepare for a sudden turn. They would use the asteroid as a shield to regroup and launch a counterattack. As the Valor barreled toward the asteroid, the crew held their breath. The Xeric ships pursued blindly, their confidence blinding them to the danger that lay ahead. At the last possible moment, Elena called for a hard turn, and the Valor skidded around the massive rock. The Xeric ships were caught in a deadly trap, the asteroid's gravity pulling them closer. As they struggled to regain control, Elena seized the opportunity, issuing commands to unleash everything they had. The Valor's weapons lit up as they fired into the disoriented fleet. The Xerics were caught off guard, the coordinated assault of the Valor unleashing devastation among their ranks. Explosions erupted all around as the crew felt the adrenaline surge. Once more they were fighting not just for survival, but for the very soul of humanity. Vrax's voice roared through the comms, filled with fury as his ships fell under the onslaught. "This cannot be the end. The humans will not defeat us," he shouted. But Elena could see the tide was turning. The Xerics were faltering. With each passing moment, the Valor's crew fought harder than ever, their hearts and minds united in purpose. They were not just defending their ship, they were fighting for the very essence of what it meant to be human. And as the battle raged on, they knew they were ready to face whatever came next. As the battle raged on, the crew of the U.S. Valor felt the tide turning in their favor. The relentless assault on the Xeric's fleet had begun to take its toll, and the energy in the command center surged with hope and determination. But Elena knew this was no time to let their guard down. Vrax would not go down without a fight. With the remnants of the Xerix fleet reeling from their losses, Vrax's voice thundered through the comms, his fury palpable. Humans, you may think you have won, but know this: I will not allow you to escape this unscathed. Prepare for the full might of the Xerix armada. Elena's heart sank as she heard the ominous threat, but she steeled herself to face the impending storm. She rallied her crew as they prepared for the Xerix's final push. The alien ships regrouped, their formations tightening as they readied their most devastating weapons. We need to anticipate their moves, Elena urged her crew as they strategized frantically. The Xerix will likely launch a concentrated attack to break through our defenses. We must be ready to counter it. We can't afford to let them regain their momentum. The Valor's crew worked in unison, each member knowing their role. They fine-tuned their weapon systems and monitored the enemy's movements on the radar. Elena felt a rush of pride as she saw her crew come together, drawing from their experiences and resilience. When the Xerix ships finally surged forward, their weapons primed and ready, the Valor took a defensive stance. The crew held their breath as the enemy unleashed a torrent of firepower. Beams of energy lit up the darkness of space, closing in on the Valor. Elena's voice cut through the chaos as she shouted orders for evasive maneuvers. The crew acted quickly, executing sharp turns and sudden drops to dodge the incoming fire. The ship shook violently as they narrowly avoided the barrage, but the Xerix pressed on with ruthless determination. With the enemy closing in, Elena spotted a flicker of opportunity. The Xerix were becoming overly aggressive and leaving themselves vulnerable. She quickly ordered a counteroffensive. The crew's adrenaline surged as they prepared to unleash their weapons in retaliation. As the Xerix ships approached the Valor, the crew unleashed a volley of firepower, targeting the alien vessels with precision. Their weapon systems roared to life, lighting up the battlefield. The Xerix had underestimated humanity's resolve. Explosions erupted as their shots found their marks. The crew cheered as one of the Xerix ships staggered under the onslaught. But Vrax remained undeterred. His voice echoed across the comms, filled with rage. You will pay for this insolence. Prepare for a final strike. Elena knew this was a pivotal moment. She could feel the weight of history pressing down on them. They had fought tooth and nail to reach this point, and she refused to let it slip away. She called for a concentrated effort to target Vrax's flagship, the heart of the Xerix fleet. As the Valor moved into position, Elena could see the Xerix ships regrouping, but their formation was faltering under the pressure. The crew fired relentlessly, targeting the dreadnought of supremacy with everything they had. The Xerix flagship was heavily armored, but Elena knew that every shot counted. She felt the adrenaline pulse through her veins as the crew worked tirelessly, their faces set with determination. Vrax's voice roared again through the comms, but this time it was tinged with desperation. We will not fall to mere humans, Vrax screamed. But as the Valor's weapons continued to strike true, it became clear that the tide was shifting. Vrax's command began to falter, his fleets struggling to maintain cohesion under the relentless assault. Elena sensed the moment of victory was within their grasp. She urged her crew to dig deep and unleash one final barrage with all their strength as they prepared to launch a concentrated strike aimed directly at the heart of the Xerix flagship. With a resounding cry, they fired everything they had. The beams of energy blazed through the void of space, connecting with the dreadnought of supremacy in a brilliant explosion that lit up the darkness. In that moment, Elena felt a rush of hope and triumph as the crew of the Valor realized they had broken the Xerix's grip on the battle. They were not just defending their home, they were rewriting the narrative of humanity in the face of overwhelming odds. As the explosion lit up the darkness of space, the crew of the U.S. Valor held their breath in stunned silence, the energy rippling through the command center as the smoke cleared. The remains of the Xerix flagship drifted amidst the debris. The realization of their victory began to sink in. Elena's heart raced as cheers erupted around her. The crew celebrated the defeat of the dreadnought of supremacy, but she could sense the lingering tension in the air. Vrax would not surrender easily, and they had to be prepared for anything. The remaining Xeric ships hesitated, their formations breaking as uncertainty washed over them, their once unyielding confidence now shaken by the devastating loss. Elena seized the moment, her voice cutting through the celebrations. "We need to stay focused," she commanded. "This is not over until the last ship has surrendered." Vrax's voice crackled through the comms, a mixture of fury and desperation. "Humans, you may have won this battle, but you will never win the war. We will regroup and return with vengeance. Prepare to face our might again." Elena felt a surge of determination as she faced the challenge before them. "We will not back down," she declared firmly, "and we will not let you return. This is our home, and we will protect it at all costs." The crew rallied around her words, their spirits ignited by the victory, but tempered by the knowledge of the fight still ahead. They prepared the valor for any potential counteroffensive as the Xeric ships began to retreat one by one, their formations dissolving under the weight of their loss. In that moment, Elena felt the weight of history shifting. Humanity had faced an overwhelming foe and emerged victorious. They had proven their resilience and ingenuity in the face of adversity. The crew was not just fighting for survival, they were redefining what it meant to be human in the galaxy. As the Xeric ships continued to retreat, Elena issued a command to pursue them. They could not let their enemies escape. With the knowledge of Earth's defenses, they would strike while the iron was hot and ensure the Xerics could never threaten their home again. The Valor surged forward with renewed purpose. The crew worked in unison, targeting the fleeing vessels, their weapons firing with deadly precision as they disabled ship after ship, forcing the Xerics to reconsider their strategy. But amidst the chaos, Elena sensed a shift in the Xerics' approach. Vrax was regrouping his remaining commanders, rallying them for one last stand as they faced the oncoming onslaught of the Valor's relentless pursuit. Elena knew this was the moment that would define them as a species. If they could break the Xeric's resolve completely, they would send a message to the galaxy that humanity was not to be underestimated. She steeled herself for the final confrontation. As the last remnants of the Xeric's fleet prepared to make their stand, Elena issued a final rallying cry to her crew. "This is our chance to end this once and for all," she said, her voice filled with conviction. "We have fought for our home, for each other, and for our very existence. Let's show them what humanity is capable of." The crew responded with fervor, determination etched on their faces as they readied the ship for one last push. The Valor charged into battle against the remnants of the Xeric's fleet, the explosions and chaos swirling around them a testament to their fight. In the end, the crew's perseverance and courage proved to be their greatest weapon as they pushed the Xerics to the brink. Vrax's remaining ships fell under the relentless assault until finally the last of the Xerics was forced to surrender. As the battle subsided and silence fell over the battlefield, Elena felt a sense of profound relief wash over her. They had fought not just for their survival, but to carve a place for humanity in the cosmos. As the crew gathered in the command center, she knew they had made history together. They had shown that the mundane human ship could rise against the odds and emerge triumphant, proving that even in the darkest of times, the spirit of humanity would always shine bright.